The association was off last night, giving due to college basketball in its national championship conclusion of this season. But now the NBA, over these next 5 days, is back in full force. And there is so much to figure out at the end of a regular season. Sunday is the regular season finale. All 30 clubs will be in action. 15 games to figure out those final seedings for the NBA postseason. Whether you are in the top 6 to advance right into the playoffs, or you're 7 through 10 and into the play-in tournament. So we go conference by conference to set the NBA playoff stage and scene for what you need to know here down the final 5 days of this NBA regular season. Now, there's one caveat to that. Pretty much everything has been figured out in terms of the 10 teams that will see the postseason, play-in tournament teams, playoff teams, a lot of seed lines to figure out, except in one area. That's the Boston Celtics as the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, far and away. Boston right now has a 15-game advantage for that top spot over the Milwaukee Bucks. They have already clinched, have the Celtics the best record in the NBA. They will have home floor advantage inside TD Garden throughout the entirety of the NBA postseason. Eastern Conference playoffs and a potential NBA Finals as well, which is very good news, DRS, for C's backers, as they are 35-3 at home this season.
I mean, that's the key ingredient, right, overall. You just take a look at the Boston Celtics and say, well, home court advantage, how good are they on the season? They're fantastic. How good are they at home? Damn near unbeatable.
Yeah.
And that's certainly going to play into it. But bring up the Eastern Conference first. I love this. It's 1 through 10. Outside of the Boston Celtics, every single seed line is up for grabs.
For sure.
Whether it's 10 or 9, move up to 7 or 8, move from 7 or 8 into the top, 6, 5, 4, right up to Milwaukee, who looked like 3 weeks ago, well, all right, we're not going to catch the Celtics. Let's just not get injured. We're going to be the number 2 seed overall. Now you find themselves 1 game back of Orlando, 1 game back here of the New York Knicks, and 1.5 games above the Cleveland Cavaliers, heading down the stretch until that final on Sunday. If we're taking a look at who you're excited to bet, well, again, it's price point here. The Boston Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference. I think they win it, but the price point is terrible at this point, where it's like, oh, no, if I go into the playoffs, things don't go my way, a guy or two gets injured, and I lose my money. You don't feel so bad when it's 8 or 9 to 1. Like, I took a shot at that.
Right.
But they're basically a favorite, and a deep favorite, to win that. But my focus has to be on the Milwaukee Bucks and what we're actually going to get out of them. Because we've talked about this so many times, whether it be the Phoenix Suns or just a team trying to head in the right direction. There's so many question marks on that team, which we should not have entering into the playoffs, and teams might be lining up going like, you know what? This is the team we want to actually play in the playoffs.
The Bucks have lost 4 straight games, booked as a favorite in all 4. They have lost 6 of their last 7, booked as a favorite in all 6. They lost to a shorthanded New York Knicks team at home on Sunday. It was their 4th consecutive loss. In that game, they were only a 4.5-point favorite. But in the previous 3, they were a double-digit favorite. Tonight, a 2-point home underdog inside the Pfizer Forum against the Boston Celtics. The C's, again, have clinched everything and yet are on a 5-game win streak because that's just how good they have been. So that's the minus 165 price on Boston. And that's the very interesting thing then, DRS, for those other top seeds. Right now, the Bucks, Magic, and Knicks would all host the opening round of the postseason. And the Bucks have that second-best number, plus 350. Is it justified to be even that close to Boston? We'll have that conversation a different day. But Orlando in the 3 spot, 85-1 for the best cover team in the association. The Knicks, who will be without Julius Randle for the entirety of the playoffs, 23-1. The Cavaliers on a slide. They have dropped 8 of their last 11. They are 15-1. And then let's go to the teams 6 through 10. Indiana, at this moment, dearly holding on to that 6th and final spot outside of the play-in tournament and into the regular playoffs. A full game lead over Philadelphia. Don't let those Sixers with JoJo get hot. And a 1.5-game advantage over the Miami Heat. But you even see Indiana, 55-1. Miami, who has been in 3 of the last 4 Eastern Conference Finals, 17-1. The Sixers are the only other team alongside Boston and Milwaukee, DRS, with 3 digits in their price. And that's because of Joel Embiid, plus 950. I think just a few weeks ago, that number was 12-1, 18-1. It was a much longer price when there was still some uncertainty around Joel Embiid's status for this playoff push.
Yeah, really climbing back. And also the reason why you're seeing the Sixers catapult back in here to not a favorite, but actually making some moves on that line is who they're actually playing. If you take a look at 1 through 10 right now in the East, it's a very simple measure here. Number one seed is going to be the Boston Celtics. Do we trust them? Absolutely. They're the best team in the NBA, the best record, and that says it. But I got to tell you something. Are you trusting the Bucks right now?
Yeah.
Nope. The Orlando Magic? Yeah, they're having a great season, but boy, is this Magic team really going to make any waves in the playoffs when things really matter? You take a look at the New York Knicks, still injured here. Yes, Brunson's been great. Is DiVincenzo going to knock down 10 triples in a playoff run? Who knows at that point? The Cleveland Cavaliers, they shouldn't have any excuses here. Now, granted, Spider Mitchell's missed some time here, but when he's back, it's supposed to be a quality team. They're not great. The Pacers here, who knows what they're going to get here?
Right.
So I factor on the 7 and 8 seed. Is it to me the Boston Celtics, 1, and then the Sixers and the Heat are the 3 trustable teams here? Because I'm talking about when they're healthy. Yeah. When the Heat go out there with Eric Spoelstra in a full lineup, that zombie Heat team can beat you down. You saw last year. Just give me Jimmy Butler hot. He can knock anybody out. The Philadelphia 76ers are maybe the best basketball player when he's healthy, and Joel Embiid is coming back and looking healthy, and they're playing their best basketball. And we might have an NC State run to end the season before you get into the playoffs here. So I look at the Celtics, Sixers, and the Heat being live. I don't want anything to do with 2 through 6 right now, Ben.
I think it is really interesting as well to think about what the seeds positions would be for playoff series. And that's why it's so important for Philadelphia if they can catch Indiana for that 6th and final spot in the playoffs. Because if you win in the play-in tournament in the 7-8 game, you're the 7 seed. What would the 7 seed be as of this moment? Milwaukee only a game lead over Orlando right now because of how bad the Bucks have played. But a 2-7 matchup potentially, if the season ended today, it would be Milwaukee versus Philadelphia. You would have the 2nd and 3rd best prices to win the Eastern Conference crown facing off in the opening round of the playoffs. You don't want to be 4, 5, or 8 because then you're in Boston's portion of that Eastern Conference playoff bracket. But if you're Philly into the 6th spot, as of this moment, you would take on Orlando. The Sixers are going to be favored with Joel Embiid to win that series. And then you would get to the Eastern Conference semifinals against Milwaukee before you'd have to face off against the Boston Celtics. It is crucial positioning right now in the postseason. Now let's flip our attention to the Western Conference, where very much is up in the air, including that number 1 overall seed in the conference. Minnesota and Denver tied for the top spot at this current time, both 54 and 24. Only 4 games remain for both the T-Wolves and the Nugs. Oklahoma City, a game behind. A little bit of difference between those 3 top teams and the LA Clippers. 3 games of distinction between OKC and LA. But the Clippers, a huge victory to come back from down 26 against Cleveland on Sunday afternoon. Paul George hit the game winner with just 7 ticks remaining in regulation. The reason I say that is because the Clippers have provided a little bit of a cushion, a 2-game cushion in front of the Mavericks to host what would be the opening round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I love it. I love what's going on. And again, this is great here. The advent of the play-in rounds at the end of the season are great here because you have championship pedigree here as you take a look at the Western Conference. Look at the 10th seed. The Golden State Warriors, multiple championships. The basis of that veteran team is still there. The Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James, and if he comes in healthy with Anthony Davis, they have a title under their belt. Who says they can't make a run this year? But then you take a look at that top. The Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference, we weren't worried about them for the last 3 months. They're the top seed. They're going to be the top seed, and that's the way it's going to be. But the Timberwolves, Nuggets, and Thunder all within a game of each other at the top is really fascinating to watch because for a while you thought the Timberwolves, at least I did, you know what, they're going to lose one of their big players in Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know how they can hold up. They're holding up very well. They're in first place right now. And the Denver Nuggets, who were like that 2-3 games back all season long, you saw them make that charge up to the top. Oh, look, it's going to be the Denver Nuggets and nobody else. And it looks like they're fighting them off. Oklahoma City Thunder also, even though they're only 5-5 in their last 10, still only a game back at this point. I'm fascinated at the top of that and also the bottom of the standings. But if we're looking from top to bottom in the East, we talk about 3 trustable teams. There's way more than that right now in the Western Conference.
Just let the odds tell the stories. There are only 3 teams in the Eastern Conference with 3 digits in their price. In Philadelphia is plus 950. There are 5 teams in the Western Conference at plus 850 or shorter, and you throw in the Dallas Mavericks now at 13-1, where Luka and Kyrie have something figured out. They've won 3 straight games. They've won 14 of their last 16. Dallas has covered in 14 of its previous 16 games as well. The Mavericks certainly making a charge for that top 4 to maybe host a playoff series to begin. And now we go to play-in tournament category in the Western Conference. Phoenix 46-32. New Orleans 46-32. The Pels a big victory over Phoenix In Phoenix on Sunday, the Suns continue to fail to make statements when they need to at their best. Sacramento only a game behind both Phoenix and New Orleans. And the Lakers on a charge. They've won 8 of their last 10. They're a half game behind Sacramento for the 8th spot, which is important. 7 versus 8 in the play-in tournament. You get 2 chances to see the playoffs. You win that game, you're the 7 seed. If you lose, you face the winner of the 9-10 game. So it is important in terms of even the play-in tournament positioning for Los Angeles and Sacramento.
And no layups, man. No matter who you're playing in the West, there's no layups in any round. And you want to be in that pressure between 7 to 10 right now. The Pelicans, who, again, leave a lot to be desired, super talented here, but sometimes not putting it together. Same thing with the Sacramento Kings. I lump them into the same ingredient here. And then you're going to have to take on the Lakers and the Warriors in playoff mode, who knows how to win. But take a look at those teams. The Phoenix Suns, the Pelicans, the Kings, and the Lakers, all lumped up there within a game and a half of each other with 3 games to play. Should be so much fun. And there are going to be big losers here because some of these teams like the Phoenix Suns winding up there being a play-in team, and then you're looking at OKC, Denver going like, wait a second, round number 1, it's the Suns here? Incredible stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw it last year, right? The Lakers, a play-in tournament team. They get out of the play-in tournament all the way to the Western Conference Finals. That's where things stand right now around the association.